What's going on? It's your boy CJ Goodfella back with the Boxing Clinic one time for the one time. And speaking on shout out to the LDBC, by the way. Speaking on Gennady Golovkin, if he gets past Canelo Alvarez, and there's no rematch clause, he captures Billy Joe Saunders' belt, and he chooses, if he can get that belt, and basically if Jermall Charlo, that's who that is on the left hand side, if he can get past Sebastian Heelan, the Argentinian, whose most notable victory is Matthew Macklin. I think he won his last 13 straight. If he can get past him, which is the number one contender to Gennady Golovkin's WBC belt, and Jermall Charlo debuted at number 2 at Gennady Golovkin's IBF belt. And Golovkin can get past Canelo Alvarez like most believe he can. How would this fight stack up? Now, for one, I think, somehow I'm in the minority about this. I think Jermall Charlo is a more talented fighter than Danny Jacobs. And people will be like, "Oh, who did the Charlo brothers beat?" That's what they call them, because, they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand, don't understand them. The same reason why when Floyd parted ways to Top Rank, he was acting cocky and confident. A lot of people don't understand that, though, because, a lot of people, they don't play sports. They didn't take them serious. And confidence is pretty much, a large part of the mental game of the sport, of any sport. You have to be confident. You have to believe it before, most people can see it. And a lot of people just don't get their attitude and how they carry themselves. Of course, there are going to be bumps in the road, for a lot of people, if it's close wins or controversial wins or whatever it may be. You have to be confident in what you're doing. And if you're not confident in what you're doing, if you don't believe you're the best or you don't believe you can beat them, then why the fuck would somebody else believe that you can beat them, trainer your team? So a lot of people don't like them because of their attitudes. And I love their attitudes. They straight from Houston, they straight from the gutter, they straight from the streets. And of course they're very confident. They're very two talented individuals. But Jermall Charlo, of course, a lot of people was turned off the way he blasted Julian J. Rock Williams after his fight, but people don't understand the backstory of the fight. Julian J. Rock Williams was talking all types of shit leading up to that fight, and Charlo didn't say anything, and he just let his emotions flow after the fight. So, people always want to, people always get the retaliator. Retaliator always get caught. But the simple fact of the point is, this dude was throwing a whole bunch of motherfucking shots. But at the end of the day, he couldn't handle the shots that Jermall Charlo was throwing. And the simple fact that I think he's a more talented fighter than Danny Jacobs is the simple fact. Well, Danny Jacobs is 30. This guy's 26, 27. I just like his game better than Danny Jacobs. I think he's a better fighter. I might be in the minority, but Danny Jacobs has been pro for a long time. And a lot of people just look... just look at, I don't know what they be looking at, but I look at his career and I say, okay, he got dropped by Sergio Mora. He wasn't a guy, he is a guy who had a questionable chin even before he had cancer, got knocked out by Pirog, and he had a good showing versus Peter Quillen knocking him out, but I never held him in the highest regards anyway. And, he competed with Triple G, and I think that got him a lot of fans. I think he won, but it is what it is. I think Jermall Charlo has better boxing ability than he does. I don't know if he's the puncher that Danny Jacobs is, but he's about the same height. I think he's faster than Danny Jacobs. I just think he's a better overall boxer. I think he's a better counter puncher. I think he has better footwork. I think he's a better fluid fighter. And I think he's overall fought the better competition when you don't add in Peter Quillen. You don't add in Gennady Golovkin. I think Trout is a solid fight for him at that point. I think J-Rock was a hot prospect that everybody had high on their list. And I like those two fights that he fought. But I think his brother's resume is a lot better. But, Danny Jacobs, Sergio Mora, Peter Quillen, they're very close. I think Danny Jacobs' resume is taken over the top by the simple fact that, to me, he did beat Triple G or came close to doing it. So, in that fact, I do think, but he's been pro a lot longer than Jermall Charlo. But again, I like Charlo's chances versus Triple G if I can find out about his chin, how his chin is. And if I can figure out, where his power gauges and his speed gauges once he moves up those 6 pounds, for the simple fact that he said he was him and his brother are two big guys, and I think they was starving themselves to make that weight, to make the weight for Jermall. He's a little bit bigger. I think he's a couple inches bigger than his brother, and I think he has the length and the physical attributes, and I think he has the attitude and mentality to beat Triple G. I know Canelo won't fight this kid because he didn't fight him at 154, but I think he has the mentality to beat Triple G because, like Danny Jacobs, was tit for tat. I think Sean Porter's dad, Kenny, said something. He said he hated the fact that when, Golovkin would get off on Danny Jacobs, and Danny Jacobs, the only thing he did was counter and try to retaliate. He never was trying to be the aggressor first. He always was being an aggressor on the back end, and that's not in Jermall Charlo's mentality. He'd get knocked out before he goes tit for tat and be the retaliator. He'd be the aggressor. And I think this is a great fight. And depending on how Triple G comes out of this fight and Charlo comes out of this fight with Sebastian Healy.